This property report is powered by realestate.com.au. Know the value of your home today. Track your property now.
To property now, and with only 3 auction weekends left before Christmas, scheduled auction numbers are approaching unprecedented levels. Joining me now live from realestate.com.au is John Healy. John, good afternoon. It might be December, but auction numbers this month are shaping up to be even bigger than those traditionally at the peak of the spring selling season.
Yeah, that's right. Auction numbers for next week are set to be sitting at record levels, with currently more than 5,700 homes scheduled to go to auction around the country next week. And now those numbers will ultimately fall as the week goes on, as properties sell ahead of auction. Some auctions will be withdrawn and others postponed, but it is expected to be an unprecedented number next week. And we're seeing really high numbers of scheduled auctions across the next few weeks, much higher than they were at the same time last year, as that window to sell before Christmas is a little smaller this year given when lockdowns ended. And while this time of year is actually a pretty popular time for auctions in those key auction markets of Sydney and Melbourne, we're seeing a lot more activity in cities, scheduled auction activity in cities like Brisbane and Adelaide, which are much higher than usual, as more sellers there opt to take their homes to auction. But if we turn our attention now to this week, it's no slouch either. We're expecting 4,150 homes to go under the hammer around the country this weekend. That's up 145% week on week. Sydney expecting more than 1,100 homes to go under the hammer. That's up 116% year on year. In Melbourne, there's another 1,600 properties scheduled to go to market there this week, which is a near 150% increase on auction volumes in Melbourne last year. And the suburb of Reservoir in that city's northern suburbs is the real auction capital there, with 32 auctions scheduled in that market alone. Some growing numbers again in Brisbane and Adelaide, up 184 and 272% respectively year on year, while Canberra's expecting more than double the auctions it had at this time last year.
And John, given the large volumes of homes that have been going under the hammer in recent weeks, what impact is that starting to have on clearance rates?
Well, yes, that's right. As more homes go to auction, of course, and buyers have more choice as to what to buy, it is likely that that will lead to lower auction clearance rates. And on the auction results available from last week around the major capitals, auction clearance rates were down in each city, apart from the ACT, which actually jumped up around 2.5% week on week to sit just under a 95% clearance rate. But Sydney recorded an 86.6% clearance rate last week. That was actually its lowest result since January this year, but still a very strong clearance rate nonetheless. Melbourne sat at a clearance rate just under 78% last week. It's a weakest result actually since October last year, and just that huge volume of properties that have been going to auction in Melbourne for many weeks now, likely having a downward pressure impact on that clearance rate there. A similar story in Brisbane, with more and more homes going to auction in that market as the year draws to a close. It's sat just under a 78% clearance rate as well, its lowest result since August. But of course, that is also good news for buyers who have had limited choice for many months of this year. And potentially in some markets, there is now that emergence of more balance coming into the market.
Yeah, and John, while there is plenty of auction activity ahead this weekend, as you said, which homes heading under the hammer have proved most popular with buyers this week?
Well, the most popular homes this week that are also going to auction are dotted around Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast. All of these homes in our top 5 this week, apart from the most viewed home there in Fitzroy, which is a townhouse, are large family homes on pretty sizable blocks, on blocks between 570 and 1,100 square metres. And 3 of this top 5 are also 5-bedroom homes as well. And one of those homes can be found in a Atunga Street in Wallara. And if we take a quick tour around this beautiful home now, it is a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home on just over 1,100 square metres in Wallara, which is only 5 kilometres east of Sydney's CBD. It was built in 1868, this property, and it's called the Atunga Lodge, and it's been completely reimagined by its current owners with modern features throughout and multiple living and entertaining spaces. It's going under the hammer early on Saturday afternoon there in Wallara, and given the amount of buyer interest it's had in the week leading up to its auction, there's likely to be plenty of buyer interest for this property too.
Yes, no doubt. It has a very Mediterranean feel about it, John. Just finally, a property we featured not too long ago has sold for a match-winning price.
Yeah, that's right. It really has. The home of Beck and Leighton Hewitt has sold less than a month after it was put on the market with a price guide of between $15 and $16 million. That sold reportedly to a Toorak-based family. And while the price has been undisclosed, it's been reported that it did fall within that $15 to $16 million price guide. So some really good news there for the Hewitts to end the year on, and the lucky buyers as well, who will no doubt get years of enjoyment out of this beautiful 5-bedroom, 7-bathroom property, Danica.
Oh, I'm sure they'll get a lot of enjoyment out of that beautiful property. John Healy, thank you for joining me. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Danica.